It's Friday, June 19th, and time for your Barbados Today morning news update. Several of Barbados' major airline partners have already confirmed they will be the first out of the gates come next week when commercial flights are expected to resume to the island. According to a draft airline schedule for summer 2020 for the Grantley Adams International Airport, which was last updated on Saturday, June 13, JetBlue, Air Canada, Caribbean Airlines, and British Airways are to be the first passenger flights to resume service. It is not yet clear when NIAT will resume service to Bridgetown, but in a notice at the end of last month, the airline announced that it had suspended service until June 30. Barbados Today understands that Bridgetown is yet to receive confirmation from Virgin Atlantic, among others. Two prominent economists dismissed suggestions that the central bank's involvement in the Barbados Optional Savings Scheme will result in the printing of money. Critics of the BOSS program, which targets mainly public servants, have argued that the central bank acting as an intermediary for the sale of unused bonds equates to increasing the amount of cash circulating in the economy. In an interview with Barbados Today, Canada-based economist Carlos Fort said he believed the central bank's involvement was to help manage risks and would not result in that institution's financing of government. Mala Dukaran, another noted economist, also dismissed the suggestion that the central bank's involvement would result in it funding government. She said under the parameters agreed with the International Monetary Fund, the central bank cannot finance the government. The Saharan dust currently affecting Barbados will continue to do so for at least another week. That's according to a forecast by the Barbados Meteorological Services, which said the plume of dust will be present until at least next Friday. In fact, meteorologist Andrew Daniel is warning that within the next few days, the dust haze could get thicker, significantly reduce visibility, and people with respiratory and sinus problems could be affected. He is also advising fishermen, especially those who do not have GPS in use, to stay close to shore. Environmental advocate and entrepreneur Karen Mickens wants to see a commercial composting facility set up in Barbados. Mickens also wants an aggressive education campaign on environmentally friendly products that have replaced plastics and styrofoam on the island. She believes this was the next natural step, given that some products that were entering the market were not naturally compostable and residents were continuing to litter.
Caribbean Eco would definitely be interested in working with the government just to educate people, definitely, and just to get some sort of a recycling program in place, because it's really important. And for us, especially living on an island, we only have a limited amount of space in our landfill. So if we can do better and divert a lot of stuff out of that landfill, that would be really, really good. I'm a very strong believer in the environment, and and it's important as a small island that we try and do the best that we can, and the government have really come a long way. They've, with the ban, and now the ban on the plastic bags. I know that's been delayed a bit, but it's really important that we start thinking forwards like that and really trying to look after this little island that we have. But again, it's like littering is one of my big bugbears. If we could really educate people on littering, but it just takes time.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
To news from the region, authorities in Antigua and Barbuda say Some medical students stationed in Cuba will return home on repatriation flights in a week's time. Nationals who have also been stranded in the Dominican Republic amid the coronavirus pandemic are also due to return home. More in this report from ABS News.
These are not all our medical students. There are a number of students who are living in various provinces within Cuba, and so they will be returning. I believe that the number, it's probably less than 50.
Information Minister the Honorable Melfred Nicholas made the announcement during the post-cabinet media briefing Thursday morning. The students, he says, are expected to arrive on the 23rd of June via a charter flight. But what about the other students?
Most of the medical students in the universities in Havana are still in classes, so they will not be returning before presumably the end of July. But these are the other students who would have completed their program of studies for the terms thus far.
Meanwhile, he says nationals of Antigua and Barbuda who have been stranded in another Caribbean country are expected to return this week.
An outstanding charter flight from the Dominican Republic that will also return home. Some of our citizens and residents will also be returning by, I believe, tomorrow.
Minister Nicholas says health and safety protocols will be adhered to. The Dominican Republic is considered one of the region's COVID-19 hotspots, with over 24,000 confirmed cases, and as such, the option to self-quarantine will not be available to these nationals.
Finally, the Australian government and other organizations are being targeted by a sophisticated state-based cyber actor. That's according to Prime Minister Scott Morrison, who said the cyber attacks were widespread, covering all levels of government as well as essential service providers and businesses. He said, however, Australia would not identify which country was responsible.
The Australian government is not making any public attribution about these matters. We, though, are very confident that this is the actions of a state-based actor. We have not gone any further than that. I can't control what speculation others might engage in on this issue or, frankly, or any other. I've simply laid out the facts as we know them and as we've disclosed today.
Obviously, you're not going to reveal which state-based actor, but to confirm, do you know which state this is coming from?
As I just said, the threshold for attribution on these issues is very high.
I'm asking you, do you know where it's coming from?
This is my answer. I'm saying the threshold for being able to answer your question along those lines is very high. What I can confirm with confidence, based on the advice, the technical advice that we've received, is that this is the actions of a state-based actor with significant capabilities, and there aren't too many state-based actors who have those capabilities.
Email updates or like us on Facebook and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media in bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. And you can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM.